everybody. I welcome to the Grace Generation TV. My name is Oluwatosin Sanusi, and I'm the host for the Grace Generation TV. And we talk about relationships, love, marriages, doing marriage God's way. And basically, we're just here to point your direction towards God, in every decision that you make. But particularly sometimes towards marriage, in terms of your marriage and your relationships and, your life in general. So you're welcome. It is my absolute honor to be doing this, and I'm so excited. I do not take it for granted. So once again, you are welcome to the Grace Generation TV, and I know that this session is going to bless your life. You're going to learn something. You're going to something will be re-emphasized in your heart, and you're not just going to live the same way that you came. And if this is your first time, please subscribe, please share, invite your friends. If there's anyone that pops into your mind when you think about this topic, send them the invite link right now. Share so that they can also be a beneficiary of the information that will be shared today. And when after this video, when you're less busy, please go through our previous videos. Just watch, enjoy, learn. And that's what we talk about, just learning and preparing yourself towards your marriage and your future. So learn and just be ready in the ways that you can, and one of it is learning. So again, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Oluwatosin Sanusi, and I'll be the one speaking with you today. So straight to the business of today, we'll be answering a question, or rather, I will be helping you answer a question. Is marriage necessary for me? Okay. Now I'm married, so I've answered the question for myself. So I'm helping you, to answer that question for yourself, finding the answers for yourself. I'm not here to make a case either for or against marriages. I'm just here like see me as some sort of guide, today, to just help you make that decision, because the questions and some things that I'll be saying will just point you into direction that you are looking at. Okay. So is marriage necessary for me? Is marriage necessary for you? Is it something that you want to do? Is it something that you're thinking about? Is something like some people say I'm not the marrying type. Some people be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely getting married. But it's okay if you're in between any of those two. You don't know which one it is you actually want to do. And I absolutely understand, because so many things are going on, and you're like, I don't even know which one I want to do. When I get to that bridge, I'll cross it. Yeah, I agree with you, but at the same time, you need to build your convictions. And like your celebration church international says, like, this is our solid year. Okay, we are being firm in our convictions. Okay, so I'm challenging you to build your convictions, even as regards marriage today. Where do you stand, so that when whatever it is comes, you're not easily swayed. You know where you stand, and you're keeping firm, to your convictions, and you're going through with it. Like my generation will say, we move. Okay. So yeah, is marriage necessary for you? And while I was getting ready for this live session, I watched so many videos, read so many articles. I was just trying to build a broader perspective, as regards the topic, right? And I learned so many things, even for myself. But one thing that we established for me is the fact that it's a decision rather, that you need to make for yourself. Okay, it's not a decision that someone needs to make for you. It's a decision that you decide, you make, and you stand by. Okay, and there's no law that says that you can't change your mind as time goes. Just make sure that you're ready to stand by the consequences of whatever decision that you make. Okay, if you're choosing to get married, you stand by the consequences. If you're choosing not to get married, you stand by the consequences, because both decisions have consequences and have things that is required of you, to do. Okay, but in all of it, what is just important is that as a person, you're living a life that is fulfilled, and your life glorifies God, our maker, right? And there was an interview with so many people, people that were married, people that were not married, and people had different opinions, and all of those things. But while thinking about this topic, it struck me once again that it's not something that again someone decides for you. It's a decision that you make for yourself. And passively we all have made a decision, okay? Even if you haven't said it out to say, oh no, I don't want to get married, or yeah, I absolutely want to get married. You have passively made that decision in your mind, okay, based on things that you have seen, some things that you have experienced, some things that you have heard, some things that you have read. You have just built a conviction, whether passive or active. You've built one in your mind that your actions are directly or indirectly following in line with. Okay, so but today what I want us to do is to actively make that decision, so that you can stand by the decision that you have made, not just a passive decision that you made that you're not even sure about. My aim at the end of this video is that you have discovered your why to whatever decision that you have made. So either you want to get married, either you're deciding that marriage is necessary for you. You have discovered your why. And if marriage is not necessary for you, you know your why. Okay, so you're standing by it, because knowing why you're doing something is so important for whatever it is you want to do in life. Because if per adventure you go into that thing and it's not how you imagined it to be, okay, that why will keep you going to actually want to get that result that you had in mind. Now, all of this was just to give you some sort of introduction into the topic. Now, I'll be asking you a few questions, and if you're watching this, I would suggest that you get a journal or a jotter, or if you're on the road, just maybe jot your notepad on your phone, because these are questions that you need to answer honestly to be able to get the results that I envisage that you would get after this watching this video. So the very first question is, what does marriage mean to you? What is your perspective of marriage? If you're at that place where you're wondering if marriage is necessary for you, or if marriage is not necessary for you, the very first question I want to ask you is, what is your perspective of marriage? What does marriage mean to you? What is your definition of marriage? When you think about marriage, what comes to your mind? Okay, what comes to your mind? Some people, if you ask them, when you think of marriage, what comes to your mind? The first thing they say is bondage, or not having freedom, or not having the right to do whatever it is you want to do, or having to live your life to please another person. A lot of people have all of those things. But when you ask some people, what does marriage mean to you? They're like, oh, marriage means stability. It means raising a beautiful community. It means raising children in love. It means having a partner to do life with. We all have those different perspectives. Okay, so whatever comes to your mind, but what does marriage mean to you? Genuinely and truthfully answer that question for yourself. Okay, I'm not going to ask you to share your notepad after this video. So you're doing this for you and you alone. Okay, so what does marriage mean to you? What is your perspective of marriage? When you think about it, when you think left, right, center, up, down, what does it mean to you? What does it boil down to? At the end of the day, that you can say, okay, so this is what I believe that marriage is, right? And while saying that, is while you're answering that question, is it a good perspective that you have about marriage, or is it a negative perspective, or maybe not use the word negative, or do you have like the non-popular perspective about marriage? Okay, which of this do you fall under? Is it the popular perspective of marriage, or the unpopular perspective about marriage? Which of these two do you fall under? When you've discovered your perspective, how you view marriage, how you view the institution of marriage. Now, which of these two do they fall under? The popular opinion or the unpopular opinion about the institution of marriage? And and while you're thinking about that, or while you have thought about that, it's also important that we think about, why do you have that perspective? Okay, so say you have a positive perspective about marriage. Okay, let me use myself as an example. So I know that my perspective before I got married was that Marriage is beautiful. Marriage is a great avenue to raise awesome kids. Marriage, for me was, part of God's plan for my life. And I knew that, it was important in fulfilling the purpose that God had for my life. Okay. And, marriage was something that I looked forward to, not because of the old wedding day, dressing up, looking like a princess kind of thing, but because I knew that it was a major part of my life, and in fulfilling God's purpose for my life. And of course, I couldn't wait, or I was excited to meet the amazing, man of God or son of God I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And the reason that I had this perspective was because, first of all, I had grown up in with healthy marriages surrounding me, from my parents to my siblings, to my mentors, to my pastors. I had been privileged to see lots of beautiful marriages. And even on Instagram, I've been privileged to be part of this. I'll be like, oh, this is so beautiful, and I want to experience this. I don't care whatever it is they're experiencing in their lives outside of the gram. Okay, but I'm taking the beauty that I'm seeing on the gram, all right? And know that I want to have that beauty, in my marriage. And I've always been a love person. I love love. I started reading about, relationships, praying about my marriage from like, I started reading about marriages maybe when I was, maybe like SS3 towards when I was entering uni. And, praying, yeah, when I was entering uni, I started praying actively, about my marriage and all of that. So I've always been that person. I was looking forward to it, and I wanted to get it right. Okay. So I'll say that the reason I had that perspective, like I said, was because I had like lots of healthy marriages, around me. I started reading books that also made me see how it ought to be, and not necessarily what I was seeing in the society as regards, don't let me say bad marriages that had challenges. Okay. So that was how my perspective was changed. And also I'd been reading my Bible, like reading what God had to say about marriages, and God's plan and all of that, about marriages. So I was going to have that and nothing less. Okay. So that's why I was able to have that popular perspective about marriage, and the beautiful one. So what is your why do you have that perspective about marriage? Why do you think that way about marriage? Or why do you see marriage in that light? Okay. So it's important that you established it, because a lot of people have built up a perspective about marriage that is not good, based on what they have seen. Okay, based on what they have seen, what they have experienced. Maybe example, people that are from broken homes, or parents are separated, parents are not living together, or there was just some toxicity, when they were growing up, and they just didn't have good examples, of healthy marriages. So that has shaped how they perceive marriage. That has shaped how they see marriages, and they've just built that conviction and like, nah, this is not for me. Okay, if this is how it is, then it's not for me. So what I want to tell you today is that is not how it is. Okay, that's not how marriages is. So if you have made that decision, and that's why I want you to know why you have that perspective, so that you can tell if you have made that decision because you're afraid, you don't want to go through, all of that trauma and all of those things again, and you're just like, nah, I'm done. Okay. So that's why it's important to know why you have, I'm saying why a lot. Okay. But I just want you to know why you have that perspective about marriages, whether positive or negative. Even if you see marriages, in a good light, it's beautiful, it is that, it's still important to know why. Because sometime in the future, that why might be saving your life or your marriage. Okay. So it's important, that you also know why. In whatever way that you see marriage, know why you see marriage that way. So if it's because of some past experiences, that is not limiting you, or narrowing your mind to see marriage in a particular way, then you might need to work on that if you actually do desire to get married, because that shouldn't stop you from having the life that you want to live. Okay, it shouldn't it shouldn't limit you from enjoying all the blessings and all the goodness that God has, in terms of marriage for you, especially if it's something that you desire. All right. Now moving on to the next question. Okay, the next question is, if you were to set aside, those, this perspective that you have about marriage, especially if it's not a good one, if you are to set it aside and, just like, what, let's just put it somewhere. Okay, what kind of marriage do you actually desire? Like, if you were told, that you could have a marriage that was full of all the traumas or all the bad stories we hear on the internet now, or maybe you have seen or experienced, and you were told that you could actually have a beautiful, godly, enjoyable marriage, would you go with marriage? Would you say, oh yes, you know what, yeah, I want to do this? Okay. Or would you still be like, nah, still not for me, I still don't want to get married? Okay. So, what kind of marriage do you desire? What kind of marriage, when you think about marriage, like what it ought to be, you're like, if we take this away, or if we had this, then oh yes, I would consider getting married. Or, if we had this, we add that with a little sprinkle of this, with a little dose of that, then I would be so interested in getting married. So, what kind of marriage do you desire? If you were to pick, what, take a moment, okay? Take a moment now and picture. I'm not talking about wedding. I'm not talking about wedding date, guys. Don't be picturing white gown and black suit, or white suit, or blue suit, or red suits, you know. But what I'm trying to say is that the marriage, what kind of marriage do you desire? When you think about it, what kind of marriage do you desire? Do you dream of? Do you hope to have? Okay, just think, imagine for a moment and think about the kind of marriage that you desire, someday in the future. Think about it, Let me give you 2 seconds. Think. Just imagine it, okay? Close your eyes if you have to, and just think, just imagine it, okay? Just smile. If it brings a smile to your face, smile. And if it brings a frown to your face, don't frown, still smile, Jesus loves you. So, what kind of marriage, do you desire? What kind of future do you desire, as regards your marriage, settling down, raising children, if you want to have children? Okay. And, again, I want to say this. Some people, this is important as well, because the reason why some people have built that perspective over time is because maybe they just feel like the married thing isn't happening for them. Okay. You know how you feel like maybe you've been waiting for a new job, and it feels like it's not just coming, and you just be like, I'm okay with the present one I have. I understand, you're trying to be content with where you are at the moment, but there's nothing wrong, if it's still something you want, there's nothing wrong with desiring it, insofar as you're not desperate and you're not doing, ungodly things to actually get it. Okay. But you're actually waiting on God for when it's going to be your time and your turn. And the Bible says that God makes everything beautiful in his time. Okay. So you're still allowed to desire it, you're still allowed to wait. Okay. It doesn't matter, how long that might take. Okay. But there's nothing wrong. You don't have to put away your desire because you're waiting for too long. Okay. I understand that you're trying to be content. I understand that you're trying to, not let your happiness depend on that. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. But if it's something that you still desire, it's still okay to desire it once in a while. Just don't be desperate. Let it come when God sends it your way. All right. And the last question that I'm going to be asking you guys is, are you ready to do marriage God's way? Okay. So we've talked about what your perspective is, how you view marriage. Is it positive, or a I'm trying not to use the word negative. So let's go back. Is it the popular opinion, or the unpopular opinion? And the next question, why do you have that perspective? Why do you have that perspective of marriage? Why do you view marriage in that way? And we have the third question, which is, if you were to take away that perspective that you have, what kind of marriage would you desire? What kind of marriage would you want? Okay. You've seen what it is. Okay, so this is how I feel like the moment, it is what it is. Okay. But it can be this way. Okay, it can be this way. I know that we have these general theories about certain groups of people that have grown up in some certain environments. For example, there's that popular theory that says, or general theory that says that people from broken marriages are likely to also have a broken marriage, or at a higher percentage, or higher probability of having a broken marriage as well, right? But you can be the exception. See, permit me to break this table. I know that some people avoid marriage, or avoid some things because they feel like, oh, you know what, I haven't seen good examples of marriages, or all of them say, if not lie, all of them they lie. They pretend they're happy, but genuinely they are not happy. They all just they pretend for us. This marriage thing. Some people say this marriage thing is a scam, or this blah blah blah, or I just haven't seen any good marriages around. Okay, yeah, you haven't. All right, no problem. But I want to challenge you today. Why can't you be the exception? Okay, be the exception. Do what is required to actually have a good marriage. If you haven't seen good examples, then why not take up the challenge upon yourself to be the good example? Okay, so that people can see and people can do what is right. Because if everybody keeps making that excuse as the reason not to get married, or that's what is stopping them from getting married, then that's just, I take back the word I would say. But that's just wrong. You need to actually be the exception, okay? Because if it's really what you want, then you need to get up and be the exception and do what is required of you. You can't say, because none of my family members have traveled out of the country, then why are you not traveling? Why do you want to be the exception? Why do you want to be the first person to go to university if nobody in your house has gone to? Why don't you say that nobody in my house has gone to university, so I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to sleep in this house forever? Or nobody has traveled out of the country, and you two are just like that. Nah, I'm not going to make plans to leave this country. A lot of you are happy to share that testimony, like, I'm the first person in my house to travel out of the country. Glory be to God. And through me, God has brought my siblings, my parents out of the country. Hallelujah. We rejoice with you. Okay. Now be the first person to have a good marriage. Be the first person not to be a victim of whatever situations that you grew up from. Be the first person to actually decide, you know what, I'm going to do this the right way. I'm going to do this the God way. Okay. And just don't allow that excuse limit you if you really do want to get married. It's okay if you've made that decision, but I just wanted to challenge you for a bit there. And back to my final question: are you ready to do marriage God's way? Now I'm going to dwell on this part a little bit, because God made, created, founded, established everything this the institution of marriage. Okay, so who else to help us do marriage the right way, apart from the creator of the whole thing itself? You can't have a Samsung fridge, and then your Samsung fridge has issues, and then you're running to Scanfrost or to Thermocool to fix it, and then you're insisting that your warranty must count. Okay, you are going to have to take it back to Samsung to be able to get that warranty and to be able to get it fixed, because they knew what they put there in the first place. So they know what is going to be the issue, and they can easily fix it for you, or sometimes even replace it. But you can't know how what's that word? You can't know how an appliance works if you do not check through the manual, especially if you have not come across it before, or you had not operated it before. Okay, so if you've not come across some type of washing machine or something, and then you buy it and then you don't know how it works, you're going to have to scan through the what's that thing, manual, to be able to have an understanding of how it works. So the same with marriage, especially if you've not had good examples around you, so you don't even know how it works. You're going to have to go back to the maker, to God that created marriage, and you're going to have to go through his manual, which is the Bible, the word of God, to actually know his plans, to know how it works. And what I want to recommend to you today is to do marriage God's way. If you have made that decision, if everything that you have said, all the questions that I asked, if your answer is still a strong yes, or even if it's still a yes, Okay, even if it's not so strong, but it's still a yes or a maybe. I just want to challenge you that if you have decided to make that decision to get married, okay, you have made up your mind saying, you know what, marriage is necessary for me and I am going to get married. Okay, I want to encourage you, I want to recommend that you do it God's way. One thing that has sustained my marriage and the marriage of so many people that I know and do not know is God. Okay, God, God at the center, God. The Bible says that a threefold cord cannot be easily broken, and I can never forget that triangle illustration of God, you and your partner at the sides, but God be the one that holds you guys together at the top. Okay, so it's important that you go through with it. God made marriage. The Bible says in Genesis 2, verse 21 to 22. Yes, 21 to 22, 21 to 23, and it says that God had made Adam, and then God made Eve, and God took Eve to Adam. Adam was like, yes, finally, this is the bone of my bone and the flesh of my flesh. And at that place, the whole institution of marriage started. Okay, and over time we've seen so many advice through the Bible about people getting married. And also there's a part of the Bible in First Corinthians 7, you know and you put they were just talking, and what, I was like, see, not everybody has to get married. Okay, even in Matthew, when the Pharisees were trying to play smart, and they were trying to ask Jesus questions about marriage, if you can divorce, and all of those things, which is entirely a topic for another day. And Jesus answered their question, and I was like, you know what, for everyone that cannot take those things, it's the disciples were like, you know what, if that is all of if that is what marriage is about, then is it not better that somebody does not get married? Like, I mean, just permit me your day, let me day my day. Like, we don't have to marry if this is all that is and takes. If it's all these do's and don'ts, you have to stay there, you can't stay this, you can't get divorced, you can't do that. Is it not better not to get married? I just was like that. You know what? Yeah, if you believe, if you can accept that, because that's not everybody can accept that. Not everybody can accept, not getting married. But you know what? If you can accept it, then you know what? That's your choice. You can decide that you don't want to get married. So it's just important that if you have made that decision to get married, then do it the right way. Make that decision for yourself and do it the God way. Do it when you are ready. Okay. One thing that I took a lot from all the research that I did was the fact that it's important that it's a decision that you make for yourself when you are ready, not you being pressured into it. Okay, don't get married because of the pressure, or you set a target for yourself that what, this 2023 is my year and I must get married. So every Tom, Dick, or Harry that comes, you decide that this is the person that I'm going to get married to, even when you can clearly see that this is not going to work. Where you're like, you know what, I give myself a timeline, and this is it. I'm just going to have to put up with this. We'll live together, and then you start consoling yourself. There are people that have been in worse marriages and they're doing fine now, and all of that. It's not necessary. You don't have to go through that heartache and all of that stress. Okay, when it's okay, marriage is for me, I want to get married. Fine, you made that decision, but do it the right way. Don't bring another person's son, another person's son or daughter into too much unnecessary drama. Okay, so make that decision when you're ready, when you both are ready, because you're not going to be the only person in marriage. So you've decided to get married. When you now meet somebody, make sure that they also want to get married. Okay, so that you both can put the required effort into it. For every good marriage that you see, there are people working. There are people working on that marriage. There are people doing the work in the marriage, and there's a God that is keeping them together. Okay, so it's important that you and your partner are on the same page. You have decided marriage is necessary for me. This, ask them too. Is it necessary for them? Is it something that they want to do in their life, so that you know where you are going to, if you're on your own or if you guys are on the same page. And then there'll be no unnecessary breakfast in the future. You don't want to chop breakfast. Everybody does not have to drop breakfast. Okay, you can decide that you don't want that type of breakfast, and if you've decided that this is it, and you're just vocal with where you are and what you want, and you also ask your partner. And if you have decided that, what, after all of these things that I've asked you, marriage is not what you want to do, you don't want to get married, you're happy with the way that you are, the level that you are in your life, you're just content there, and you just want it to be that way, you just want to keep going on your own with amazing friends and family, that's totally fine. Okay. And I must commend you, because I feel like it takes courage to do that, because the society, so many things and all of that, are just trying to put pressure, on people. So you standing your ground, I must say kudos to you. But it's also important that you also stand with your convictions. Okay, you have decided that you don't want to get married. Now don't get into relationships and be giving the other person ideas. Okay, don't be giving the other person ideas, and don't somebody has decided to get married, and then you know fully well that this person wants marriage, and then you get into a relationship with them, and you're not trying to convince them not to get married. No, what, let's just stay like this. It doesn't make sense to legalize what we have. What we have is beautiful, so let's just leave it like this, and you're trying to convince them. Please leave them. Find somebody that matches what you want, okay, so that you both of you can be on the same page, and one person doesn't feel cheated or not getting what they want in the relationship. Okay, so whatever decision that you have decided to make for yourself, which I hope that you have made or will make even after this video, stand with it. Okay, and like my generation will say, is it Gen Z? I don't even know if I'm Gen Z, but they'll say, stand, carry whatever decision I've decided to make it with your full chest. Okay, so even if they ask you tomorrow, you're like, yeah, this is my decision, I want to get married, I don't want to get married, and these are my convictions, this is my reason, and that's why I've decided to make this decision. Fam, with your full chest, own it. Okay, own it. But but if you're someone like me, you love, you want to get married, and then that it's in God's plan for your life, also own it with your full chest. Okay, no matter what people say on the internet, no matter what opinions people have about marriages and all of that, see, own your convictions with your full chest. Say it, I am going to have a beautiful marriage. Okay, it's my time. It's going to be, as in, it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to enjoy my marriage. It's going to be amazing. Forget everything that's on the internet. My own, no, you see that my own marriage is going to be beautiful. Okay, so only with your full chest, but don't make decisions under pressure or pity. Okay, make the right decision so you can enjoy it, so that your energy will match that your full chest, and your results, everybody will see that this guy is enjoying his marriage, this baby is enjoying his marriage. Okay, so enjoy your life, make this decision, stand by your conviction, but most importantly, if you have decided to do marriage God's way, please and please and please do it God's way. And that's why we are producing content like this, to help you. None of us is beyond help. Even I myself, I am not beyond help. I'm also watching videos, just keep learning, because we never stop learning. Okay, so you have to keep learning, you have to keep praying, you have to keep learning, you have to keep praying, and just trusting God that God has got you. Okay, so that is what I have to discuss today, and I hope that in some way this has given you clarity and helped you to make a decision. And it has just been helpful. And if this has been helpful to you, please again share. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate every one of you that has commented. Thank you so much. Have an amazing evening or day, everybody. See you next week, and please engage in my content also, that I've posted, my short videos and the normal videos that I'm posting. And I'll see you on Sunday. On Sunday, I have some hot gist for you guys. Next week, Sunday, hot gist. So make sure that you're here, okay? We're going to be talking about friendship, dating, marriage, and I'm bringing someone that I feel like she's going to do justice to that topic. So see you guys next week. Have an amazing week. God bless you. Bye-bye.